The phone buzzed against my thigh like an angry wasp, interrupting my presentation to the board. I ignored it, continuing to explain our marketing strategy for the upcoming quarter. Another buzz. Then another. By the fourth vibration, the CFO's eyes had drifted to my pocket, his bushy eyebrows twitching with each notification. "I'm Anna," and that moment, that stupid series of text messages, was when my carefully constructed life began to crack. "I think we should take 5, I said, forcing a smile. The relief on everyone's faces was immediate. I waited until they filed out before fishing out my phone. Unknown number. 4 messages. The first 3 were blank, but the fourth contained a photo. My husband David sat at a corner table in Bellini's, our favorite restaurant, holding hands with a woman I'd never seen before. Their fingers were intertwined intimately, his wedding ring clearly visible in the harsh restaurant lighting. The timestamp read 12:43 p.m. Today's date. My stomach lurched. David was supposed to be in Seattle for a conference. "Everything okay?" Rachel, my marketing director, poked her head in. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I locked my phone screen. "Fine. Just my mother being dramatic about Sunday dinner." The lie came easily, too easily. "Could you reschedule the rest of this meeting? I'm not feeling well." Rachel's concern shifted to sympathy. "Of course. I'll handle it." I gathered my things with mechanical precision, my mind racing through the past few months. The late nights at the office. The business trips that seemed to multiply. The new cologne I didn't recognize. All the little things I'd dismissed because trust was supposed to be the foundation of marriage. In my car, I called the Seattle hotel where David was supposedly staying. "I'm sorry, we don't have any reservation under Mitchell," the receptionist said. "Could you check again?" "David Mitchell. He should have checked in yesterday." "I'm certain, ma'am. No Mitchell in our system for the past week." I hung up and opened my messages. The photo stared back at me, mocking my stupidity. The woman was younger, maybe early 30s, with the kind of effortless beauty that made other women feel invisible. They were laughing about something, their faces close enough to kiss. My phone rang. David's face appeared on the screen. "Hey honey," his voice was warm, familiar. "Just finished the morning session. This conference is brutal." I watched a couple walk past my car, holding hands. The woman wore a yellow sundress that caught the breeze. "How's the weather in Seattle?" "Rainy, of course." "You know Seattle?" I checked my weather app. "Seattle, sunny, 75 degrees. The hotel comfortable?" I pressed, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. "Yeah, the usual corporate luxury. Listen, I've got another session starting. Love you." The line went dead before I could respond. I sat there, staring at my phone until the screen went dark, reflecting my face back at me. The woman in the reflection looked strange, distorted by grief or rage, I couldn't tell which. My mother had always said that revenge was a poison you drink yourself, hoping the other person dies. But sitting there, with proof of David's betrayal burning a hole in my pocket, revenge didn't feel like poison. It felt like medicine. I started the car and pulled out my calendar. The charity gala was in 3 weeks. David had been pushing me to make it bigger this year, to invite more of his business associates. To make a statement about our perfect life. Oh, we'd make a statement all right. Just not the one he was expecting. I texted Rachel, "Need your help with something personal. Drinks tonight?" Her response was immediate, "Name the place." "I'm there." The plan was already forming, taking shape like a shadow at sunset. David wanted to play games? Fine. But he'd forgotten something crucial about me: I always played to win. My mother's kitchen always smelled like rosemary and judgment. She stood at the counter, methodically chopping vegetables while I picked at a thread on her checkered tablecloth. The silence between us stretched thin as spider silk. "You've lost weight," she finally said, the knife hitting the cutting board with precise thuds. "And you're wearing that expression again." "What expression?" "The same one you had when Tommy Peterson broke your heart in 10th grade. Only worse." She set the knife down and turned to face me. "What's David done?" I pulled out my phone, pulled up the photo. Handed it to her without a word. Her face hardened as she studied it, jaw tightening in that way that always preceded a storm. "That son of a bitch," she whispered. "Rachel and I followed him last night," I said, taking back the phone. "He met her again at Bellini's. Same table. They stayed for 3 hours. And nothing." I sat there watching them like some pathetic stalker while Rachel kept telling me to breathe. The thread I'd been picking finally snapped. "He ordered the same wine we had on our anniversary." Mom wiped her hands on her apron and sat beside me. "When your father cheated, I burned all his clothes." "Dad cheated?" "Once. With his secretary." She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Such a cliché, right?" "I found out, burned his designer suits, and left him. Best decision I ever made." I stared at her, this woman I thought I knew completely. "You never told me." "Because you adored him." "Still do." "I didn't want to taint that." She reached for my hand. "But now you need to know you're not alone. And that whatever you're planning, I can see it in your eyes, you have my support." The doorbell rang. Mom squeezed my hand before getting up to answer it. I heard Rachel's voice in the hallway, then Tom's deeper tone. I hadn't expected him to come. They entered the kitchen like a funeral procession. Rachel's mascara was smudged, and Tom looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Show them," Mom said. I pulled up the banking app on my phone instead. David's been moving money. Small amounts at first, but they're getting bigger. 20,000 last week alone. Tom's face went pale. "The investment fund." He told me he was starting an investment fund with some clients. "What investment fund?" Rachel asked. "He approached me about investing. Said it was exclusive, under the radar." I gave him 50,000. Tom sank into a chair. "Shit. That's my daughter's college fund." The room went quiet except for Mom's knife, which had resumed its steady rhythm against the cutting board. "There's more," Rachel said, pulling out her laptop. "I did some digging." "The woman in the photo?" "Her name is Emily Sanders. She works at David's firm, and guess what? She just bought a condo. Price tag, 800,000. My stomach lurched. "When?" 2 weeks ago. The down payment came from an offshore account. I thought about our joint savings, how David had insisted on managing all our finances because I was too busy with my career. How stupid I'd been. How blind. "I want to destroy him," I said, surprising myself with the coldness in my voice. "You will," Mom said, setting down plates of food none of us would eat. "But smart. Calculated. Make him feel as secure as possible until the moment you pull the rug out." "The gala," Rachel said suddenly. "It's perfect. Everyone who matters will be there. His clients, colleagues, friends." Tom nodded slowly. "I can help. I have access to his office after hours. He gave me a key for those investment meetings." His laugh was bitter. "I bet there's more evidence there." "You don't have to get involved," I told him. "He stole my daughter's future. I want in." Mom sat down with us, her eyes bright with a fire I'd never seen before. "Then let's plan this properly. No burning clothes. No quick revenge. We're going to dismantle his life piece by piece, just like he dismantled yours." I looked around the table at these people, my mother, my best friend, my husband's former confidant, and felt something shift inside me. The pain was still there, but now it had purpose. Direction. To karma, Rachel said, raising her water glass. We clinked glasses, sealing our pact. Outside, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across Mom's kitchen floor. Soon, those shadows would be the least of David's problems. The restaurant's exterior was deceptively ordinary: red brick, green awning, potted plants flanking the entrance. Lou Jardin. Not David's usual style. Too quiet, too far from the business district. Perfect for secrets. I parked across the street, killed the engine, and waited. Rachel's car pulled up behind me, right on schedule. My hands trembled as I checked my phone, 7:42 p.m. David had texted earlier, working late. Don't wait up. The hostess seated them at a corner table, partially hidden by a decorative screen. David pulled out Emily's chair, his hand lingering on her shoulder. Such a gentleman. My stomach clenched as I watched through my camera's zoom lens. You don't have to do this, Rachel whispered from the passenger seat. We already have enough evidence. I kept shooting. I need to see it. All of it. They ordered wine. Laughed. His hand found hers across the table, fingers intertwining. Click. 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 Each photo was a nail in the coffin of my marriage. He's wearing the watch I gave him for our anniversary, I said, my voice hollow. 10 years of marriage, and he's wearing my gift while he's with her. Rachel touched my arm. Anna? Wait. I zoomed in closer. Emily was crying. David reached across, wiped her tears with his thumb. The intimacy of the gesture hit me like a physical blow. Click. I can't hear what they're saying, I muttered, lowering the camera. I need to hear. Don't you dare. Rachel's grip tightened. You're not going in there. But I was already opening the car door. Rachel swore, scrambling after me. The hostess smiled brightly. Table for two? Actually, I smoothed my hair, forced a smile. Could we sit at the bar? We're just having drinks. The bar offered a perfect view of their table, and better yet, they were within earshot. I ordered a martini I wouldn't drink and waited. Can't keep doing this, Emily was saying, her voice thick with tears. I thought you were leaving her. David's response was too low to hear. Emily shook her head. 3 months, David. You promised. The condo, the plans, everything, was it all lies? My martini arrived. I gripped the stem so hard I thought it might snap. Baby, please. David's voice carried clearly now. Everything I said was true. I love you. Anna means nothing to me anymore. She's just complicated. The timing isn't right. The olive in my martini blurred. I blinked, and a tear splashed onto the bar. I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air like smoke. Rachel gasped softly beside me. I watched David's face transform: shock, fear, calculation. Always calculation. Are you sure? His voice had changed, harder now. How long have you known? 2 weeks. Emily's hand drifted to her stomach. I wanted to be certain before. Get rid of it. The silence that followed was absolute. Emily stared at him as if seeing him for the first time. What? I said get rid of it. David leaned forward, lowering his voice. I'll pay for everything. But this can't happen. Not now. You bastard. Emily stood so abruptly her chair toppled backward. You complete and utter bastard. She grabbed her purse and ran for the door. David remained seated, straightening his tie as if nothing had happened. He signaled for the check. I stood too, my legs unsteady. Rachel tried to pull me back, but I shook her off. Anna, don't. I walked to David's table, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor. He looked up, and for one beautiful moment, I watched the color drain from his face. Complicated, I said softly. That's what I am to you? Complicated? Anna, I can explain. Save it for the gala. I placed my wedding ring on the table. You'll need all your explanations then. I turned and walked out, past the staring diners, past the confused hostess. The night air hit my face like a slap, but I didn't stop until I reached my car. Rachel found me there, gripping the steering wheel, my knuckles white. What do you need? She asked simply. I need Tom to get into that office tonight. My voice was steady now, cold. And I need you to find Emily Sanders. The plan was changing, evolving. David thought he could play games with all of us? Fine. But now we were playing by my rules. Tom's office key felt heavy in my palm as we stood in the empty parking garage. Midnight turned the concrete pillars into looming shadows, our footsteps echoing despite our attempts at silence. Security cameras? I whispered. Disabled for maintenance. Tom checked his phone. We have 40 minutes before the next guard rotation. The elevator ride to the 14th floor was silent. I watched the numbers climb, remembering all the times I'd visited David here, bringing him lunch, surprising him with coffee. Such a devoted wife. You sure about this? Tom asked as we reached David's office door. I inserted the key. Are you? The lock clicked open, and David's private sanctuary lay before us. Everything perfectly arranged, the degrees on the wall, the family photos on his desk. I picked up the frame holding our wedding picture, my smiling face frozen in time. Check the computer, I said, setting the photo face down. I'll take the filing cabinet. Tom sat at David's desk, typing rapidly. He changed his password. Try Emily's birthday. March 15th. The screen unlocked. Tom shot me a look. What? I do my research. We worked methodically, Tom copying files while I photographed documents. The filing cabinet yielded nothing until the bottom drawer, where a false bottom concealed a stack of papers. Tom. My voice shook. Look at this. He joined me, scanning the documents. Property deeds. Offshore account statements. A passport in David's name with a different photo. Jesus Christ, Tom muttered. This goes way beyond Emily. There's more. I spread out the papers. These transactions, they match the pattern of money disappearing from our accounts. But the amounts are bigger. Much bigger. Wait. Tom grabbed one document. This account number. It's from the investment fund. But these withdrawals started 6 months before he even approached me about investing. A noise in the hallway made us freeze. Footsteps approached, then passed. We breathed again. We need to go, Tom said, stuffing the papers into his briefcase. But Anna. This isn't just about cheating anymore. This is fraud. No. I stood, a strange calm settling over me. This is leverage. The elevator ride down felt different. Heavier. Tom kept checking his phone, his face pale in the fluorescent light. I should call the SEC, he said as we reached his car. Not yet. I touched his arm. We need all the pieces first. The gala's in 2 weeks. If we move too soon, he'll destroy the evidence. And Emily? Are you still planning to contact her? Rachel's meeting her tomorrow. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Apparently, pregnant women are very interested in learning the truth about their baby's father. Tom started the car. You're different. Since that night at the restaurant. No. I watched the city lights blur past my window. I'm just finally seeing clearly. My phone buzzed to David, calling for his nightly check-in. I let it ring. He's going to notice something's wrong, Tom warned. No, he won't. Men like David see what they want to see. I pulled out the wedding photo I'd taken from his office. Besides, I'm giving him exactly what he expects, a wife too blind with love to notice his lies. And what happens when he realizes the truth? I thought about the documents in Tom's briefcase. About Emily and her unborn child. About all the other lives David had casually destroyed while maintaining his perfect facade. Then he learns what it feels like to lose everything. I tore the wedding photo in half, letting the pieces flutter to the floor. But not yet. First, we need to talk to James Carter. James? Why? Because according to these documents, he's either David's biggest victim or his secret partner. Either way. I smiled as another piece of the puzzle clicked into place. He's going to be very interested in what we found tonight. Tom pulled up to my house. David's car was in the driveway, the bedroom light still on. Waiting up for his dutiful wife. Be careful, Tom said as I got out. You're playing a dangerous game. No, Tom. I straightened my clothes, ready to play my part. I'm not playing anymore. This is war. James Carter's office felt like a confessional, all dark wood and hushed voices. He studied the documents spread across his desk, his face growing harder with each page. If these numbers are accurate, he said finally, David's stolen close to $4 million. Not stolen. I leaned forward. Redistributed. To accounts you helped set up. His head snapped up. What exactly are you implying? The transfers required 2 signatures. Yours and David's. I slid another document across his desk. Unless someone forged your name 37 times. James loosened his tie, a bead of sweat trailing down his temple. Anna, I can explain. Save it. I pulled out my phone, played the recording from David's office. James's voice filled the room. The SEC will never trace it if we route it through the Cayman accounts. He lunged for the phone. I yanked it back, heart pounding. That's illegal, he hissed. You can't record. Like embezzlement is legal? I stood, steadier than I felt. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to help me, or this evidence goes to the FBI. You'd destroy David? He destroyed himself. I'm just providing the stage for his final act. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Carter? David Mitchell is here to see you. James's eyes widened. I was already moving toward the private door he used for discreet exits. Stall him, I whispered. And remember, one word to him, and everything goes public. I slipped out just as David's voice filled the office. Through the crack in the door, I caught a glimpse of his profile, confident, relaxed, probably planning his next conquest. My phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. Emily agreed to meet. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Another from Tom, more documents found. You need to see these now. The elevator opened, and I nearly collided with my mother. What are you doing here? I hissed, pulling her aside. Warning you. She gripped my arm. David's been asking questions. Called me this morning about your strange behavior. He suspects something? He suspects everything. Always has. She glanced toward James's office. You're playing with fire, Anna. I'm beyond fire. I showed her the latest documents. This isn't just about Emily anymore. He's ruined people, Mom. Destroyed families. And what about your soul? This revenge, it's changing you. The elevator dinged again. David emerged, walking toward us. I pushed the documents into my bag. Anna? His surprise seemed genuine. What brings you here? Charity gala arrangements. The lie came smoothly now. James is on the committee. Mother's helping with decorations. David kissed my cheek, then Sarah's. Always the perfect wife. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Though you've been distracted lately. Everything okay? Perfect. I matched his smile. Just like our marriage. Something flickered across his face's doubt? Suspicion? But vanished instantly. Dinner tonight, he asked. That new place you mentioned? Can't. Gala meeting with the caterers. I touched his arm, feeling him lean into the familiar gesture. Rain check? He nodded, already checking his phone. Probably texting Emily, unaware she'd soon be meeting his wife. In the parking garage, Mom grabbed my arm again. He knows something's wrong. Good. I got into my car. Let him worry. Let him wonder. In 3 days, at the gala, he'll know everything. Anna. Her voice stopped me. Your father, when I burned his clothes, it felt good. Righteous. But revenge didn't heal me. It just made me harder. I started the engine, watching David's reflection in my rearview mirror as he walked to his car. Maybe I need to be harder, I said. Maybe that's the only way to survive this. She stepped back, shaking her head. Just remember, when you're done burning down his world, make sure you're not standing in the flames. I drove away, her words echoing in my mind. But it was too late for warnings. The pieces were in motion, the trap nearly set. In 3 days, David's carefully constructed lies would crumble. And I would be there, match in hand, ready to light the fire. The grand ballroom sparkled like a diamond, catching and reflecting 1,000 lights. I watched from the balcony as guests filtered in, their evening wear and fake smiles a perfect match for the occasion. David worked the room below, champagne in hand, every inch the charitable community leader. Everything's ready, Rachel whispered, appearing at my side. Tom has the presentation queued up. James is sweating bullets, but he'll play his part. I nodded, adjusting my black dress as designer, expensive, bought with David's stolen money. Emily? Just arrived. She's. Rachel hesitated. She looks scared, Anna. Of course she was scared. I'd been scared once too, before the fear turned to ice in my veins. The USB drive? I touched my clutch, where the evidence waited. Secured. But Anna. Rachel grabbed my arm. David's been asking questions. About your meeting with James. About the late nights. He knows some things? Mrs. Mitchell? A waiter appeared with a note. From your husband. The paper trembled in my hands. Meet me in the study. Now. He's bluffing, Rachel said, but her face had gone pale. Keep everyone in position. I handed her my clutch. If I'm not back in 15 minutes, start without me. The study door felt heavier than usual. David stood at the window, his back to me, holding a glass of scotch. Beautiful evening, he said without turning. Perfect for burning everything to the ground. My heart stuttered. What? He turned slowly, and I saw what the ballroom lights had hidden, the rage in his eyes, the tension in his jaw. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? He set down his glass. The late meetings? The whispered conversations? Tom accessing my office after hours? David. Shut up. His voice was soft, dangerous. I've watched you play your little game. Gathering evidence, turning my friends against me. Even poor Emily, did you enjoy telling her about our marriage? He reached into his jacket, pulled out a familiar USB drive. My blood turned to ice. Looking for this? He smiled. Amazing what a good security system can catch. You and Tom, sneaking around like teenagers. All that evidence, all those carefully gathered documents. That's not, I started, but he cut me off by crushing the drive under his heel. The originals have been dealt with. The offshore accounts? Closed. James Carter? On a plane to somewhere non-extraditable. His smile widened. You played well, Anna. But I've been playing this game longer. The photos? What photos? He pulled out his phone, showed me the screen. Emily's Instagram post from an hour ago, starting fresh in London. Goodbye, America. The room spun. Everything we'd planned, every piece of evidence, every careful move, gone. Why? My voice cracked. The money, Emily, all of it, why? Because I could. He stepped closer. And now you have a choice. Go downstairs, play the loving wife, and we'll forget this happened. Or try to expose me with no evidence, no witnesses, and watch me destroy everything you have left. The door opened. Tom stood there, his face ashen. Anna, we have a problem. The presentation, the documents, they're all corrupted. And Emily's not answering her phone. David's laugh was soft. Right on cue. Tick-tock, darling. Your guests are waiting. I looked at Tom, saw the defeat in his eyes. Thought of Rachel downstairs with an empty USB drive, of James somewhere over an ocean, of Emily vanishing into London's crowds. Well? David straightened his tie. What's it going to be? Through the study window, I could see the ballroom below. 300 guests, waiting for the evening's entertainment. Waiting for me to either destroy David Mitchell, or destroy myself trying. I touched my wedding ring, feeling the weight of 10 years of lies. Time to make your choice, Anna, David whispered. The clock's running out. And in that moment, standing in the wreckage of my carefully laid plans, I realized that sometimes the most dangerous moment isn't when you have nothing left to lose, it's when your enemy thinks they've already won. The microphone felt cold in my hand as I faced the sea of expectant faces. David stood at the back of the ballroom, scotch in hand, victory written across his features. He thought he'd won. They all did. Tonight, I began, we're here to celebrate truth. Rachel's eyes widened from her position near the projector. Tom shifted nervously. They thought I was admitting defeat, following David's script. My husband, I continued, taught me something valuable about truth. Would you like to know what it is, David? He raised his glass, playing along. Enlighten us, darling. He taught me that truth isn't in documents or photographs. I slipped off my wedding ring. Let it fall to the floor with a metallic ping that echoed through the sound system. Truth is in the details. The ballroom doors opened. Emily Sanders walked in, very much not in London, very pregnant. Behind her came James Carter, followed by two men in dark suits. David's glass slipped, shattered. Truth, I said, is in the way a man orders the same wine with his mistress that he ordered with his wife. It's in the way he uses the same investment scheme over and over, thinking no one will notice the pattern. The men in suits moved toward David. James Carter looked like he might vomit. Truth, my voice grew stronger, is knowing your enemy's weakness. Your need to win, to dominate, to control the narrative. Did you really think I'd leave the real evidence on a USB drive in your office? The projector flickered to life. Not with photographs or bank statements, but with a video. David in his office, bragging to James about the scheme, about Emily, about everything. His own voice condemned him. The SEC has been watching for months, I said. Every transaction. Every meeting. Every lie. David lunged for the nearest exit. The suits moved faster. Mrs. Mitchell, one of them said, we'll need your statement as well. Emily approached the stage, tears streaming down her face. You knew? About the others before me? There were 6, I told her. You were just the first to listen. The ballroom erupted in chaos. Phones emerged, recording David being led away in handcuffs. James Carter slumped against a wall, already bargaining with a third SEC agent. How? Tom appeared at my side. The corrupted files, Emily's Instagram. Planted. All of it. I watched David struggling with the agents. I needed him confident. Needed him to think he'd won. Anna. David's voice cut through the chaos. He'd stopped fighting, was staring at me with something like respect. You magnificent bitch. Goodbye, David. Rachel touched my arm. The reporters are outside. They'll want a statement. Let them wait. I turned to Emily. We should talk. About the baby, about everything. She nodded, one hand protectively over her stomach. My mother appeared, carrying my discarded wedding ring. Burn it, she suggested. It's tradition. No. I took the ring, walked to where David stood between the agents. Here. Sell it. You'll need money for your defense. His mask finally cracked. I loved you once. In the beginning. I know. That's what made it easy to destroy you. The agents led him away. The crowd parted like water, phones still recording. Tomorrow, everyone would know. The charitable community leader, the devoted husband, the financial genius, all revealed as a fraud. Rachel handed me a glass of champagne. Was it worth it? I watched David's retreating back, thought of all the nights I'd spent planning, all the pieces I'd carefully arranged. The other women we'd found, each with their own story of betrayal. The forensic accountants who'd traced every dollar. The SEC agents who'd waited for just the right moment. Ask me tomorrow, I said, but I was already thinking about the support group I'd promised to start. About the other women out there, trapped in beautiful lies. The truth about revenge isn't in the planning or even the execution. It's in what you choose to do after the fire burns out. I raised my glass to the chaos below. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying someone's world. It's building something better from the ashes. The prison visiting room smelled of industrial cleaner and stale coffee. David sat across from me in his orange jumpsuit, thinner now, his charm weathered by 6 weeks of reality. You could have just divorced me, he said. Like you divorced the others? I placed the stack of letters on the table between us. These arrived after your arrest. 7 women, David. 7 lives you destroyed before me. He glanced at the letters, then away. Is that why you're here? To remind me what a monster I am? I'm here because Emily lost the baby. I watched his face, searching for something human. Stress, the doctor said. She wanted you to know. His fingers twitched, but his voice remained steady. And how is our little support group doing? Growing. Tom's daughter will be able to attend college after all. The SEC recovered most of the money. Ah yes, my dear friend Tom. David leaned forward. Tell me, does he still look at you the way he did at the gala? Like you're something magnificent and terrible? I stood, smoothing my skirt. Goodbye, David. Wait. He pulled an envelope from his pocket, pushed it across the table. Read it after you leave. Please. Outside, Rachel waited in the car. You okay? I nodded, turning David's letter over in my hands. You don't have to read it, she said. Yes, I do. The letter was short, written in David's precise hand. Anna. I learned manipulation from my father. Watched him destroy my mother with lies, then rebuild her with promises. I swore I'd never be him. Instead, I became worse. You weren't supposed to be different. Weren't supposed to be stronger. But you were. Are. I'm not asking forgiveness. I'm telling you I understand now, revenge isn't about destroying someone. It's about refusing to let them destroy you. D. That night, I hosted the support group in my living room. Emily sat beside me, her hand occasionally drifting to her empty belly. Tom's daughter showed us her college acceptance letter. 2 of David's previous wives shared stories that made us laugh despite their pain. My mother arrived late, carrying her signature lasagna. Room for one more? Always, I said, watching her settle into the group. She'd finally started talking about my father, about her own journey through betrayal and recovery. After everyone left, I found Tom washing dishes in my kitchen. You don't have to stay, I said. I know. He handed me a plate to dry. But I want to. David asked about you today. Implied things. David's good at implications. Tom set down the sponge. What do you want, Anna? I thought about David's letter, about revenge and recovery and the fine line between them. About how healing sometimes looks like a kitchen full of dirty dishes and people who choose to stay. I want to stop letting him write the story, I said. Then don't. Later, I sat in my garden, the one David had always complained about, now blooming with plants I'd chosen myself. Rachel's daughter was helping Emily plan the nursery for her next try at motherhood. Tom's daughter would study finance, determined to protect others from men like David. My mother was dating again, cautiously. And me? I had a book to write. Not about revenge, though that's what the publishers wanted. About reconstruction. About how sometimes you have to break everything down to build something true. I took out David's letter one last time, but instead of rereading it, I used it to start my garden's compost pile. Let his words feed something new, something growing. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Tom on my porch, holding takeout and case files from his new job investigating financial fraud. Some people say living well is the best revenge. They're wrong. The best revenge is living truthfully, even when the truth isn't pretty. Even when it means admitting that healing isn't a straight line, and that sometimes the people who help you rebuild aren't the ones you expected. I opened the door, letting in the evening air and whatever came next. After all, the best stories don't end with revenge. They begin with reconstruction.